but
Like
I'm not a fan. Like it's just so much unnecessary strain on your back.
does that mean your form is off?
I don't think so because I mean I know how to do deadlifts. Like I
Yeah.
just don't enjoy doing them.
Then don't do them.
Yeah, that's what
There's
I haven't done.
there's a
for
lot of
years.
like bodily processes. Like for example, I don't like to push myself when I am straining my neck. Some people do fine with that.
I mean, you shouldn't strain your neck.
You
period,
you
but, like,
shouldn't. But sometimes if you're doing heavy loads,
like the like
kinda-
having the word neck and also the two words heavy load in a sentence, that they should never exist with one another.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you're doing neck work, it should be light.
yeah.
Like that's one of the ones where you're like, all right, high reps.
well,
get
no,
this
no,
carpal tunnel
not
in
like
my neck.
that.
No,
I'm
I'm
saying
kidding.
like you could be squatting, but it's just a ton of force on you, so that when you're actually pushing up, you're using all your might down to like stupid muscles, to like clenching jaw.
Those stupid fucking muscles.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to be using them.
Why are you supporting my head?
You can ruin yourself.
Bro, if you're doing squats and your neck hurts, it's time to probably one, reassess your squat technique, and two, drop the weight.
yeah, I
But
mean,
you know
I
what
would
you
agree.
shouldn't drop? The 2 a.m. podcast. Thank you for joining us once again.
but you know
was
what we
Gucci.
should drop though? Our new merch.
We'll get to it.
We'll get
We
there.
will.
We'll figure it out.
Our handsome man Zaid here had something that he wanted to speak about.
Oh yes,
something regarding
in-house handsome man
Yeah,
Zaid.
yeah.
was Gucci. I actually have a very interesting article that I want to
Oh, do you?
speak about.
What is
this? This is California legislation that actually has some common sense. Surprisingly, I've been seeing more common sense news stories coming out. Like we have the example of Los Angeles, the city council. They banned homeless people from basically creating shelters around like public schools and, common sense places
Mhm.
where they shouldn't be. But in this case, just as context, more than 30,000 collisions between vehicles and wildlife have occurred on California highways since 2015.
That is definitely NorCal.
Mm.
For sure.
So it says it's around actually Highway 101 in Agora Hills.
Ooh,
Really?
Yeah. Okay, that
Yes.
makes sense. I was gonna say the valleys,
Yes.
but yeah.
Really?
And
Yeah.
Wow.
and the cost of all that is at the tune of over $1 billion.
Holy shit.
According to 2018 data collected by Cal Matters and the Road Ecology Center at the University of California, Davis. Now, here's the interesting thing.
Mhm.
A new budget was approved by state lawmakers recently with recent aims to support the construction of Liberty Canyon Wildlife Crossing, a tunnel stretching above the highway.
Yes, I was actually going to talk. I wanted to talk
Mhm.
about this.
Why did I hear about this?
Another state has already done it, and
Really?
I think they've already saved like hypothetically millions of dollars.
Denver and Utah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Denver and Utah. And the idea is that so we build our highways through what is it, like migratory lands?
Well, I mean, essentially, isn't that what like almost all natural land is? Just an area for animals to
Mhm.
Yeah.
cruise through.
Mhm.
Demolish houses and see what happens.
But a lot, so we have coyotes, and the main animal are cougars.
Mhm.
So, of course, they need to travel from one place to another, and sometimes there happens to be a fucking freeway in the way.
Plenty
Yeah.
of those in Newport.
So in a
Beach, by the
sense,
way.
we did kind of just destroy the nature of this,
We disrupted the movement of
the
nature.
movement of it, right?
Yeah. And it's a pretty crazy idea because they basically just want to have an overpass above the freeway, and they just want to make it like they want it to blend in with the environment. So they just put grass and like trees and stuff over it so that the animals can cross and
Yeah.
mate and do all sorts of,
So
animal stuff.
Yeah, mating on the highway overpass.
well,
Maybe.
here's
Who
the
knows?
thing. When humans are too overwhelming, we start fixing the animals' problem.
What'd you say?
I'm saying when
I don't-
When humans
I'm
are
like-
mating?
when dealing with humans becomes overwhelming, we start fixing the problems of the animals.
Well, yes.
And I'm actually happy for that.
Yeah.
Like
Well, fixing their
it's
problems,
some
iron-
positive news.
but like fixing that problem specifically also fixed a problem of ours.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Yeah.
like a mutually
It was
beneficial.
a mutual beneficial.
Which goes back to common sense. Shocking, huh?
Yeah.
Who would have figured?
So that overpass.
Feed the cat, young boy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was told.
And it's not a lot of money. That overpass specifically costs around $7 million. and they approved, I believe, another 55 million for other areas within California that they want to implement this.
That's
idea.
good.
Good.
Do you
Good
remember how many deer we almost hit?
Dude.
My
Well,
God.
that was a
shit.
special
Wait,
circumstance.
That was-
wait. So you're telling me they approved a 50, roughly, I mean, actually, debatably 60, right? Or is that 7 million for the first bridge included in the overall 50 million?
It's
Do you know?
separate. So it's
Separate?
around 60.
So almost $60 million is going to be invested for building animal highways, yet they still can't build like adequate homeless shelters. You know?
Well, no,
like,
it's not. Hey, let's not say we can't,
like I'm not trying to
because
I'm
we
not
definitely
try-
can.
I'm also not trying to take away from like, the bridges for the animals, but I'm like, I know it totally sounds like that, but it just in theory, right? It's
Yeah.
like, yeah, build the bridges for the animals, but it's like, how many millions of homeless people do you have across California now?
Granted, I'd say it's a way bigger problem though. So I mean, at least you solve a smaller problem that contributes to the health of society. Granted,
Well, at
obviously we
least-
need to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least we have safe roads, to keep going and think about the homeless problem.
We can a lot more
That's just how I see
philosophical
it.
energy
That is
to
the
the
most
homeless problem.
Californian answer I've ever heard.
There you go. Like see how like it just it doesn't really make sense, but it makes sense. Like yeah, there's still animals, we care about them,
I wonder
and
how much.
sure, it's a great project.
I wonder how much traffic they're going to cut down on by adding those bridges. I know that might sound strange, but like think of all the accidents and that have happened as a result of that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then also all of the traffic that was caused by having to fix those accidents or clean up those accidents.
Think about this. I mentioned the annual or the cost, $1 billion. I don't know if that's annually, but it's still a lot of money.
That seems insane.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I believe that number. $1 billion for animals.
Well, this is from the point of 2018. This is from 2018 all the way up till now.
So from 2018 to 2021, there's been $1 billion in damages created because of animal accidents.
Yeah, which is very reasonable because I mean, animals are crossing those paths all the time.
I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing a lot higher numbers for dumber things.
Like what?
Like what?
Just think of government. Think of debt. Think of, you know where
What?
it's going. It has
What are
nothing
you
to do
talking
with
about? Like
animals.
the $30,000 hammer in the military?
No, that's
that
the
kind of shit?
CIA.
Whatever
think,
it is.
Yeah, I think it was like a $30,000 FBI hammer or some
I
shit
don't know.
like
The
that.
FBI.
But, like,
Bringing the FBI hammer down.
Just think of aid.
aid? Oh, to like other countries? Yeah.
Like things that are not necessarily our problem, and we pay a shit ton for.
Yeah.
So like that's what I'm saying is the scale of like $1 billion. That doesn't really seem like much.
It really is a drop in
considering
the bucket.
it's
Well, considering the fact that our government's just like, here's trillions, like, and then they
yeah.
throw it out
so
there.
like I mean, if we've heard trillions, what's $1 billion?
It's 1/1000th of
Yeah.
a trillion.
And
right?
also, there are a lot of benefits to this. So,
You're not wrong. Thank you for that.
so there are three main benefits. Crossings would help bolster populations for at-risk species. So the mountain lion is an at-risk species.
Yeah, because they keep getting run over by all the fucking,
Well, other reasons,
eco-friendly
you know.
Hummers that are on the road now.
Eco-friendly Hummers.
It's like, yeah, the Hummer HV, it's got 1,200 foot-pound of torque, baby.
It provides more
Whatever it
opportunity
is,
for different species of mountain lions to come in and then strengthen the diversity pool, the gene pool.
Mhm.
And it also helps with, biodiversity in other areas, like other animals come in and, bolster up the environment, so on and
That's
so
good.
forth.
That's good.
So it's a lot of positives.
But it's
Yeah.
also, it's the first one of its kind creation in California in terms of the animal passings.
Not surprised.
Expected to be complete in 2025. But as we mentioned, Utah and Colorado, they've seen 98.5% and 89% reductions in collisions on freeways.
I mean, it's just, like you said,
It's obvious.
common sense.
It's fucking obvious.
It's always like it's kind of like the problems we go through in our day-to-day software usage on the computer, where we're like, I can't figure out how to make this pink pop. What is going on? I set it up for that. What's happening? And then it's always the stupidest setting.
It's the one
It's
right
kind
in
of like
front
that.
of me.
Talking about like-
the
like on-
solution is so simple.
Like on Photoshop or something like that.
Yeah.
I
The
always
solution is always simple, and you just think about it in this form.
I always run into that
A
problem.
bridge.
I run into that problem like when I'm on Photoshop late at night.
Yeah.
And I'm working, I'm like, just something is wrong. Like, I don't know what it is. And then I'll go into like my settings, like I'll go look at the screen and I'm like, I can't figure out what the fuck this is. Then you go into energy savings and it's like, oh yeah, you're on night mode.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how this is possible. It was like the night mode changed because my night mode's like almost just red for the screen. Like I don't want any blue light on there, like as minimal as possible.
Yeah.
But I guess it like something happened and it just switched to like the most minimal version of night mode. So it was just like just enough for it to be kind of irritating.
Yeah.
You're like, something's something's
what's
weird.
up?
Yeah, I
This
thought I
man.
launched Photoshop, not sort of Photoshop.
I'm sort of editing and stuff, you know?
Yeah, this is kind of Photoshop right here.
SPS, sort of Photoshop.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how many other like problems we're dealing with that have those kinds of simple solutions.
So many.
Like smaller scale ones, not necessarily the huge ones.
There's got to be so many.
Yeah.
That's a good way to start approaching thoughts too. Like we should start thinking about problems and see like the stupidest solution. Like what is the smallest solution we can come up with
I think
that can actually be huge?
Thoughts for your thoughts.
You know what I think actually might help us out a little bit?
Bro.
Yeah.
If we just had better designations for trash cans. Like I know that sounds ridiculous, but when I went over to France, like in Paris, like they have I think 3 or 4 different types of trash cans there. Like everywhere you go, there's like 3 different types. There's one for just normal trash, one for plastics, and then one for like a specific type of plastic or something. I don't remember exactly what it was. Like it might have been glass or some shit. But I feel like if you just implemented that across the US, it probably wouldn't cost that much to do.
Yeah.
You know, just a couple different cans, and then maybe you have to switch up the garbage trucks a little bit so that they can have different sections. Or maybe just smaller garbage truck. I don't know.
Are you talking about the trash cans we have at home?
Trash cans you have at home, sure. I mean, I think it's a little bit
We already
easier at
have
home.
3 variations. I mean,
I think we have 2.
no, we've got
We-
3.
Do we have
Yeah,
3?
I have
We
3.
have
One is
compost.
for
We have,
Okay, I don't have that one.
you don't have the green one?
No, I have just the black tops and then the blue one, which is for recycling.
Oh.
We should get one for
I
compost.
mean, out of all neighborhoods,
Yeah.
I would have thought you guys have the compost one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we should have
Weird.
a compost one. My parents garden quite
Yeah.
a bit, so why
I
not?
would look into that.
gonna
Thoughts for your
research. I don't know. That just seems like it would have a pretty big impact, especially because of like how businesses are trying to be recycle forward, I guess, or
Yeah.
you know, more sustainable, eco-friendly. The thing is, everywhere you go, it's just a trash can. Like, there's no recycling
Yeah.
bin. There's no like
But then again,
specialty bin.
didn't you mention in a previous episode that our recycling plants are some of the most efficient out there? Like they're able to sort out everything?
Yeah, but why not make their lives easier?
Sure.
I mean, theoretically, what that would do for them in the long run is if they had like specified or more, I guess, diverse forms of trash cans, right? Is that it would be even easier for them to cycle through all that shit, potentially driving the cost of like recycled plastic down. It's just a hypothetical.
Your boy's just trying to take out the trash. That's what he's just trying to do. Come on, let me take out the
I don't know.
trash.
I don't know how we would go about even patrolling that, even if we had a good like trash system, public trash
I
system.
mean, like, I think just the easiest way would be to make every single bin that we have out there like one of the dual ones, you know, where it's like, here's trash, here's recycling. Like, I think that would actually have quite a bit of net positive results just
Yeah.
by doing that.
do you guys know people that like to throw their trash just anywhere?
Bro, I literally just had that thought.
I hate it so much. I hate it so much.
I can't, I don't think I do actually.
No, it's like the trash can, the public trash can's right there,
Yeah.
and there's trash on the ground right next
They're
to it.
oblivious. So like the way you treat this earth is not like Earth.
How are you that fucking brain dead?
I don't
You
know.
can't lean down, pick it up, and put it where it's supposed to be put.
I can't even tell you how many times I've been at like Disneyland in the past.
Yeah.
And people have got like a fucking popcorn, churro, turkey leg, you name. If it's like, you know, portable eating, they'll just
Mhm.
fucking walk around with that shit, just fried dough, looking
Yeah.
at fucking fake castles and like rocket ships and shit. They're walking around eating that, and then all of a sudden, like, they're just like, "Nom, nom, nom," and then they'll just throw it off
Yeah.
into the fucking. They'll try to aim for the trash can. I'll give them credit. At least they try, right? But they'll miss it like so many times.
Yeah, but you know that you don't have to miss, right? You
And
can
then
just
even-
walk over.
Even crazier it's like you'll blink and there's a dude there with a little bin that comes and picks it up,
Yeah.
sweeps it, puts it in the trash can, and then moves on with his day.
That's
One thing that Disneyland does right and almost no other theme park does as best.
Yeah.
Is just the level of cleanliness there is so far above any other theme park
yeah.
in the world.
Any
Like I
bit-
respect
any
that
bit,
shit.
Yeah, they're sweeping 24/7.
Yeah.
And there was a country I went to.
Mr.
I think it was
Worldwide.
no,
Mr.
no, I think
Worldwide.
it was Qatar.
We got Pitbull over
I
here.
think it was Qatar, but I realized that I would say probably a lot of the people you see windows roll down and just like a McDonald's bag just thrown out the window.
Really?
And then everything just gets destroyed. Obviously there's cars that are going to run over it. It goes everywhere.
That's just disrespectful.
It's
Disrespectful.
disgusting.
But that's a very normal thing. And the thing is, I never realized that it was very normal because of how clean the country was. And the reason why it's clean is because of the Indian immigrants that they fly over and they give them salary jobs. And they literally are street sweeping and sweeping 24/7.
Jesus.
They make stops. Like imagine Amazon delivery, but instead of delivering, they come down, clean, and then dip. It's like a 5-minute job.
Jesus.
That reminds me, have you ever seen the video? I think it was in India. I'm not quite sure, but
Hmm.
I'm just assuming because everybody I saw in the video was Indian. But anyways, this guy's cleaning. He has the bin. He has the broom. He's sweeping the trash from the off the ground.
Mhm.
And this dude, he's in like a Challenger, windows rolled down, and he's throwing his trash at this guy for him to pick up. And it's like it's obviously disrespectful. It's just totally blatant. And all of a sudden, this buff Indian guy, he's looking, he sees this going on, and then he comes out of nowhere, takes the broom and the bin, puts more trash in it, and just throws it into his car.
Also, I wish we could get somebody on the podcast who has that mentality because it's just like, why throw it out the window? Like, are you afraid of it stinking up your car?
Like, no, is it on fire?
But I'm like, are you worried about it making your car smell bad? Because it's like you already made the conscious decision to eat in your car.
Mhm.
So like, what other reason is there to throw it out the window
Yeah.
other than I'm a piece of shit today?
It's
That's
laziness.
how I'm feeling.
It's just laziness.
It's laziness, and you're just unaware of it too. Like, and even if you were aware of it, it's already too late. Like because you've practiced it so much. Like it's just whatever. I'm just gonna open up this pack of cigarettes and just—that's the most common thing I see is that little wrapper.
Really?
They just throw it out the window, dude.
or the cigarette
Or the
butts.
cigarette itself.
What is it? Buds or butts?
Butts.
Butts. Okay. Yeah.
It's not cool.
That one just never made sense to me. It's like, I don't know, if you went to that person, like somebody likes to throw shit out the window, if you go to their house and you just huck a bag of McDonald's on their front lawn, like they're gonna get pissed.
Yeah.
But in essence, it's kind of the same thing, right? You're just dumping trash somewhere. I don't give a
Yeah.
fuck where it is. I'm just gonna throw it out the window.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Just happen to be on your front lawn.
It's like treat Earth as your neighbor, dude. It's another house.
Have a carton of eggs.
It's your
laying there.
only house. It's your only place of domicile. Like
Exactly.
really, like
Earth gave you your house. Technically.
Should have a carton of eggs in the car prepared for any dipshit that wants to throw trash out the window. Just egg his car.
Oh, I saw
you're like,
something,
oh, I'm sorry, I was just hucking it out the window. Like you happen to be there.
I
My
saw
bad.
something quite funny the other day. I saw a
Funny.
cargo van turn left on a wide left, okay? Goes immediately right and just stomps on the brakes. You could see that like the hydraulic system just go right?
Damn.
And then he's just all of a sudden I see the window roll down and he's just it comes out onto the window, dude.
Holy
And I'm like,
shit.
"Oh my god." And he's just throwing up. In my
Oh my
head I was just
God.
like, "Dude, not here." But then I was like, "No, I don't know what he's going through." Like
If you have to vomit, like
if you have to
that's not-
vomit and you
you
have
don't
to
have
stop
time.
that sudden, you don't have time. So
Have you ever seen somebody vomit while like, you're on the highway? It's in a different car, to be fair. Like, have you ever seen it like when somebody sticks their head out the window and just lets go of everything they have?
ugh.
It's like the most aggressive sprinkler I've
Yeah.
ever seen in my life. Just
Just they look stupid too. Like, have you seen? You know what's funny? There's this guy on. This guy used to follow on Tumblr, dude. The Tumblr days. But he.
Tumblr. What's even going on with Tumblr? Like, is it still a platform?
I think they
well, it's
removed-
still a
They
thing.
are. They
but-
just removed the NSFW. So
Yeah,
that means
they
everybody just
removed
moved.
So
all
everybody dipped.
pornography.
Yeah, everybody moved, and that was the movement of OnlyFans. But
That's a theory.
yeah, that's a
Yeah.
theory.
It
That's a
actually
theory.
Yeah, that's a theory.
or Twitter.
But he used to do people like he would take pictures of people throwing up and remove the throw up in Photoshop, so they would just look like And I'm like, okay, like I can see the creativity in this because you thought of doing this, right? And it doesn't look like they're puking. They just look really stupid.
Have you ever seen a photo of a swimmer?
Mhm.
Like somebody did a series at one of the Olympics like a couple years back. They were taking photos of all the swimmers right before they broke the water's surface tension.
Oh,
So
yeah,
it looked
yeah.
like just this giant like bubble was coming out of the water. Like,
I see that with a lot of shark pictures. It's kind of cool.
yeah, I mean it's like perfectly smooth too, and it's like this person's
Yeah.
emerging out, and it's just right before the water tension or like the surface tension breaks.
Yeah.
And then it's just like this perfect sphere. Like it looks like a liquid glass carpet,
Oh my god.
right?
Yeah.
Or better yet, like if you were just lying on the ground, or right now, like we threw a blanket over you, right? And it was
Yeah.
made out of glass. Like that's what it looks like.
Ooh.
Special
Okay.
quality to it.
I can see that. I can see that. What have you seen those submarine thingies that are designed like sharks?
Have you seen those submarine things?
No,
I know
no.
it's how he said it. Have you seen those submarine things?
Yeah, I don't
Hop
know.
into my
I don't know what they're called, man. They're like called like
Submarine.
hyper. No.
Hop into Tarek's drop top submarine.
Yeah.
Harpoon gun.
Harpoon gun, dude. Tark, if you're watching.
One of the best moments
great
of the
ideas.
pod.
It's one of the best moments.
Straight up.
Harpoon.
Come at me, shark. Anyways.
No, but it's like it's a vehicle that goes underwater at rapid speeds. It's called like a hyper something. What is it called?
I think you brought this
You know,
up.
I know
what you're
I know.
talking. Wait, are you
I know what
talking
you know.
about? You're talking about the fucking like they look like they can be designed to look like animals. Like
Yeah.
their most popular ones, either an orca or a dolphin.
Yeah,
Those things are so sick.
I
And
need
want
one. I need one.
so bad.
We need to look into those because those things,
So
dude.
for people who don't know what we're talking about, which I would be surprised if you did, they're
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
fucking bizarre. But it's like think of yourself sitting in like essentially a cigar,
Mhm.
right? But instead of it just being like a perfect cylinder or tube the whole way across, it's like, kind of more pinched. Kind of like if
Yeah.
a teardrop was, inverted and
Yeah.
it looked like that.
It looks
right?
like a missile, but / bubble.
Yeah, it's like if no, like he's
No,
right. Like
yeah.
if a missile had a bubble in it and then they just aerodynamically carved out,
Yeah.
so it would be
An
smooth
animal.
across the whole
Mhm.
thing. So you sit inside of it and it's got some form of propulsion. I think it uses something that like the jets that a Sea-Doo uses or something like
Mhm.
that. And it can push you forward. I think some go as fast as like 25 or 35 miles an hour.
Yeah,
So they fucking
Not
dude,
bad.
They
Dude,
cruise
they
on
gun.
water.
bro. if
That's
you-
cruise.
On water or in underwater?
I think underwater the max that like the biggest one can do is like 25
yeah.
underwater, which
Underwater,
is
yeah.
nuts.
And by the way, I've seen videos of people going 25 underwater and then coming up onto the shore, the
Mhm.
surface. Oh my god, the sudden change in view, insane.
Now, how practical is it for the body shape to be like an orca or a dolphin?
Actually, very.
Like even though it's all mechanical?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's not like, it doesn't have like the tail or the flippers of like an orca or a dolphin, but it's just like smoothed out and they just paint like a orca or
So like
dolphin.
the
kind of-
foundation of what that animal's structure would be.
Like if you, I mean, this is kind of brutal, but like if you were to if you were to cut the flippers off and the tail, like just the tail, but it went down to the point, like think of that, but just wide enough for a person to fit inside of.
Yeah,
Not brutal for Japan.
let me try to pull up a
apparently.
picture for you.
No, no, for them they got different rules over there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Or whatever.
what is it?
We've talked about that previously, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he also showed me this fucking like personal helicopter you could get.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
so
man.
trap, but I'm like, I don't trust myself in this. I don't care how
Yeah,
much
I don't tr-
training I get.
I
I'm
don't-
gonna mess around with this to the point where I'm gonna die.
Yeah, I don't trust you in it either, but I trust me in it. If you want to go
Fair
fly
enough,
around.
fair enough.
Dude,
I'll be a passenger. I'll just kick
Hey,
back.
there are 2 seats. There's 2 seaters, man.
hold on. What is it called, dude?
No, look up fuck. I know what you're talking about.
I know,
You
and-
can find them online.
Dude, I literally had the word this morning. The actual device or the vehicle
Just
name.
put Dolphin Vehicle. I don't know.
No, put like do jet propel. This is so ridiculous.
yeah,
Dude,
this
jet,
is actually.
dude, jet
Oh,
propelled
sea breacher.
sea breachers. Yes.
God, dude.
Because
there we
dude,
go.
what's even crazier is they're designed to get the shit beat out of them, right? So like you dive down, and I think they can go up to what is it like 40 or 50 feet deep, and then you just point that shit upwards and give it all of the gas you
Dude.
can, and it'll launch out of the
Dude,
water.
look at this.
We'll put a little video up on the pod so you can see what we're talking about. But
That is
yeah,
so
it's like a cylinder, and you look like a fighter pilot. You're
Yeah.
like kind of leaned
Look at
back
it.
in
You
it.
can go 360.
Yeah,
dude.
360. You can do flips. It'll like pull you up. If you pull back on it, it'll
That
like
is
push you up into
crazy.
the air. Oh,
How
it's so
sick
much
is
fun.
that?
Now that I actually see it, like for sure I want
Yeah,
one.
but I think they're like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure it's like that or a Porsche.
Yeah, and plus, yeah, it's a different
take a
class
Porsche.
of driving, I believe, or whatever.
Huh?
It's a different class of license.
I don't think you need to be licensed for that.
It's a cockpit, bro.
And
You pretty much do need to be licensed.
why?
Going in and out of the water at those speeds,
Yeah, you know
And
some
doing
dumbasses are gonna take that
360s?
into the ocean and die.
there's no way,
yeah.
dude.
I don't think you need a license for something like that.
I will look that up.
Some guy's
Please
just like,
do.
Yeah.
oh, how far can I push this? He's just gonna go
Well,
like
let me ask
40
you.
kilometers
Let me ask you
into
a
the
question.
ocean.
Do you need a license aside from a driver's license to prove how old you are? Do you need a license to operate a Sea-Doo?
No.
Why would you need one for that then? I'm pretty sure they have the
Yeah,
same
that's a good
engine.
point.
That is a good point. I see how we're very selective in America. Bro,
No,
I already learned how to ride a bike. Why do I need to go to DMV?
I still think it's the craziest shit is that for an ultralight classification for like a flying vehicle, which
Mhm.
by the way, it's just under a certain weight limit, right? You technically don't need a license to fly one.
Hmm.
Like a fucking helicopter, like you were talking about earlier, you can get in certain types of ultralight helicopters that you do not technically need a license for in order to fly.
It's insane to me
Which is
because
crazy.
you can take it anywhere
You can.
and you don't have any certification whatsoever.
Nope. The only
Wow.
thing is you do have to be cognizant of like flight patterns where you're allowed to fly, where you're not allowed to fly. Because there are certain areas where if you fly into it and
Just
you don't
mobbing
know what
over the
you're-
airport. O'Hare Airport, here I come. What?
Hello, planes.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But those things are so cool. Like those types of I'm gonna call them rich boy toys.
The what?
The ultralight helicopters, you can get them for like the price of a Camry. Like in a used one
Yeah, but
too.
that's my point. How many people have enough money to dish out for that?
I don't know. Like, I mean, I really don't know the answer to that question. But like, I mean, you can get a helicopter you don't need a license for, and you can fly it, and it costs the same as like a Camry.
Man,
That's pretty nuts.
why? Why is it that every time you try to look for a price of a certain vehicle, it doesn't tell you anything? It
Well-
says, for custom builds, please send a quote.
They want
Well,
serious
Like,
people.
okay, come on. Like, not a single thread has talked about this?
No, well, Zaid's right. They want serious buyers, and also every single one of those that they make is custom. Like there's no real base model, right? Like they
Mhm.
have different shit that they can add on, meet your specifications, do this, do that. But like if you're going to that company and you're like, give me the cheapest version you have, I don't think they really want to do business with you anyways.
Yeah.
You know? Because they could
It's a machine.
yeah, they could also come up with an entire line of those things that's like the economy line,
Yeah.
you know, where they're only
The
like
peasant line.
You
$30,000.
have a hybrid throttle at the beginning. Okay.
Dude, speaking of
Put
throttle,
my sea breacher in eco mode.
speaking of throttle, can we please discuss
Yeah.
how Richard Branson
He went full throttle the other day.
mobbed up to space?
I didn't think he actually went as high as he did. From the video I saw, I didn't think that he
Full
went
on-
like to the level that he got to. That
Like
was
what, low orbit?
I thought he was at a way lower orbit. I thought he was what was classified as like the edge of space.
No.
Mm.
No, he
He
went
went beyond that.
well beyond
He went
that
towards
shit.
like, where SpaceX goes.
No, he didn't reach where the ISS would fly.
Really?
No, I don't think so.
Well, it looked like it. I don't know.
He went high, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
like I don't think he went ISS high.
But
Because you could still see, like, the atmosphere was still kind of visible.
Well, I think
no, you
s-
could see the whole. I mean, listen, the planet's huge, but
Yeah.
you could see the entire scope of it. Like to the point where you are clearly
Okay, but
in the
how-
void of space.
How big
Yeah.
was it?
How
Like, was
what?
it as big as a horizon, or was it like kind of just like a ball out there?
As big as a,
no,
as
I
a
think
horizon.
Yeah, I think it was essentially like full horizon 360, and then beyond that, just blackness of
Okay.
space. I don't think it was like the ISS where it's a little
Yeah, it's a
bit
little bit.
farther
Yeah.
away,
Okay.
but
That's still pretty
no,
crazy.
still unbelievable
Yeah.
achievement. Like, shout out to Richard Branson. Like, if any company is gonna make commercial space flight happen,
Mhm.
that's probably gonna be the best option.
And like, what's his story? Like, I honestly
Richard
don't know much
Branson.
about
I
him.
actually just did a case study, or I read up
I
a
read his
case
book
study
a
about him.
while back.
So
He's
who
a
is he?
character.
What does he do?
So Richard Branson, I mean, he's just a businessman. I don't know if he actually owns.
The Virgin brand.
Well,
Oh,
he
okay.
created that.
he created the
Okay.
Virgin Company, right?
Yeah.
Or the Virgin Group, I think is what they're called, and they're in a whole bunch of different types of industry, ranging
Mhm.
from like, cellular to now fucking
Virgin Galactic.
yeah, Virgin Galactic, which is crazy. He's done a whole bunch of different businesses, and he's always had a very interesting approach to how he does business. A lot of it's kind of like in the standpoint of like, I'm the little man. I'm gonna do business in a way that fucks over the bigger guy. Like,
Mm.
was a lot of his philosophy, and that has kind of bitten him in the ass on certain projects. And I'm sure he would be willing to admit that, but he's a very successful man. He
Like-
has his own space agency now.
Yeah, you know how people have this-
Nobody can say that, really.
You know
Very
how
few
people have the idea of like the average billionaire being like this scum of the earth type. He's the complete opposite. Just down to earth,
Dude, like,
completely cool.
oh, this was the video you sent me last night.
Yeah, the most
And where he was
wholesome.
talking about, he's like, look what you can do, look what we can do. And so, like, as a whole collective, look
Mhm.
what we're able to do. That's insane.
I think he said something
So
along the
genuine.
lines of like, I remember being a young boy looking up at the sky and saying, I'm gonna go there. And now I'm here as an adult.
Yeah.
And think about this.
That, dude, when he unclipped his seatbelt,
Bro.
oh my God. Like, I was like, dude, he's living it right now. He's probably in a whole different.
Shortly
spot
after
in his
that
head.
video, I came across a tweet which pointed out a very very cool stat, but it was basically the first entrepreneur who privately funded his own venture, who basically got himself up there just through his own will, not through public means or government
Okay.
means. It's all privately funded.
Yeah, and by the way, just to emphasize on private, that doesn't mean it's all his money. I think that's
Well,
important
for
to
sure.
mention. He has investors, like for sure, but that doesn't mean it's a publicly traded company.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can have private investments, like you were saying. But I mean, just like when he did that, not only like my favorite part about all of that, aside from he went to space, which is amazing in its own right? But do you know why he launched at this time?
To beat Bezos.
Oh my God.
He's like, I've got a bigger
He's
dick than you, bro. Come
Hey,
on.
guys.
He's literally like, is this shit good enough? And his scientists were like, yeah, we think so. And he was like, fuck it. We're doing it right now. Get it ready. We got to beat Bezos. We can't be
Yeah.
last.
Yeah, we can't be let.
Dude, I think one or two of their test pilots died a few years back testing that design out. Because they have an interesting
Yeah.
design to get themselves up there. It's like two planes combined. I think the people are in the middle, and then once they hit a certain altitude, then they have an extra space, like spaceship that just goes up.
Well, I think it's like you said, it's really a 3-part system if I remember this
Mhm.
correctly, because I think it was the actual, jet engine, right? The thing that gets you into space and to your final destination. That's what you're sitting in.
Mhm.
That's attached to like a glider, if I remember correctly, which is like the stage 2 in a way.
Yeah.
And what all of that is attached to, if I remember correctly, is a larger plane that's actually dragging them up to a certain altitude. And then once they got there, they detached, launched the rocket, and then went out into space.
Get ready, boys.
I'm just picturing movies.
All I'm
so.
saying is if it's at a price that we can afford
We're about to
in
go
the
to
next 10
space.
years and it's safe, we're doing it.
Yeah.
I will have no regrets.
Even if it's something I can afford as a rich man, that's still affordable. Like to some degree, you can save
I-
up for it. If it's something you can save up for, that's perfect.
My whole life, I have wanted to go to space. My entire life. And now it's like the older I get, the more possible it's
Yeah.
becoming. And so like in my mind, I'm just like,
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
shit.
Just wait for it, man. Wait for it.
Holy
Like, I think
shit.
it's very reasonable for the price to get down to what, $50,000 within
a seat.
within the next 2 decades, maybe 3 decades.
I was going to say maybe lower than that.
Really?
I don't know how much the fuel is going to cost, but if they figure out a way to manufacture the fuel themselves, and then like maybe in a way that doesn't involve a whole bunch of mining and drilling and shit like that. Like maybe they could figure out, I don't know, microalgae fuel or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And then that way it would cost them almost nothing to make the fuel. Like that could lower the cost a lot. They could also probably figure out better ways on how to get the rocket up there, so they don't have to use 2 different planes, right? I don't know. I think they could probably get it down under 20 in 2 decades.
Just such a cool time to be alive.
So freaking cool, man.
Which is like I don't understand why people give into this doomsday narrative.
Oh,
Chicken Little syndrome, as I like to call it.
Well, I get why, because I mean, a lot of the times it's very warranted why they would think that.
Dude, honestly, surround yourself with shit, and you will be shit.
Well, I mean, like,
that's a quote of the day right there.
Yeah.
Like people had legitimate concerns when Russia was moving in on the Ukraine?
Yep. Russia, yes.
Yeah, like that was a legitimate cause for concern right there. Or when China started pushing boats out into the ocean, or when they made their own islands. Which, by the way, did you hear about what's happening to those?
May the Lord bless you.
Thank you.
You know the military bases that China built in the southern China Sea, like on I think it was just on a bunch of sandbars. They dumped a whole fuck ton of sand on top of these already existing sandbars.
Dubai technique.
No, they did. Like straight up to build military bases out in the ocean.
Oh my god!
And they're still there.
Well, ironically enough, a lot of them are starting to sink. Yeah, because it turns out when your foundation is sand on the ocean, like just any current under the water is tearing away at your foundation.
Well, wait, how the hell do you even do that?
They just take a fuck ton of sand from one place and dump it right on top of this sandbar.
We're talking about
millions.
The ocean.
Yeah.
Like Dubai, they're doing it off the coast, so I can understand it.
Yeah.
But if you're going into deeper waters.
Well, the thing, they're building on top of a already existing sandbar. So that means probably the ocean isn't super, super deep in that point. And then also, they just pour sand on top of the sand that's already there to make a bigger plot of sand above the water.
Exactly. It's like
and I don't think they realized that maybe the currents there are too strong underneath. And it was just carrying sand out. Like the foundation for their entire military base was literally built on something that could go away by you going like underwater.
The Chinese version of Waterworld.
Yeah.
No, like they're when people get upset about that shit, because I mean they are in a way kind of like what would be a primer for a world war. Like the Archduke Franz Ferdinand getting assassinated. I believe that was World War II? Or was that World War One?
I don't know.
I don't remember, but yeah. It's like scenarios like that would cause stuff like that.
And where are they doing that? Are they doing that off of their coast or international waters?
Southern China Sea was where they were doing that.
Okay.
They were primarily doing it as a means to deter the U.S. from, like, I guess, holding dominance in that region. Because that's what, like, America's secret weapon is actually, like, our Navy. We just have so many ships and submarines, especially.
Coming in.
Which, by the way, you want to hear a really trippy story about submarines?
Submarines?
Yeah, submarines.
Is this an experience? Or?
No.
Or is this like a story you heard?
Although, actually, at Catalina, speaking of experience, there used to be a submarine that you could get on. I don't know if they still do it.
Bro.
But yeah, they would get you on a submarine, take you down. There's like portholes that you can look out at like all the fish and shit.
Let's go.
I don't know if they're still doing it, but if they are, like, that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
I'm down.
We'll look into it.
But, also another cool thing at Catalina, they have these scuba diving helmets that go over like this, and it's like a giant bubble. And so, like, you can walk under the water, like, with this. They literally have, like, ropes that you can hold on to underwater, and you just walk and, like, can look at everything wide open.
I haven't been there since I was a kid.
I've never been there.
Catalina's got cool shit going on, man. Yeah. Like, it's kind of underrated in the eyes of most, but at the same time, it's like
why go to Catalina and go to Hawaii?
It's like a tiny
way closer and cheaper.
Yeah, there you go. You can't compare two things that are completely opposite.
Oh, and also on the south side of Catalina, there are beaches that look like Hawaii beaches. Like, for real. The water's way colder than Hawaii, but it's like white sand, like neon blue water.
Wow.
It's dope.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm down.
I'm down.
But no, submarine story. Did you know there was only one time in the entire naval history of the world where there was one submarine versus submarine battle under the water?
One time?
One time.
With weaponry.
With like shooting torpedoes at each other. So, like, every other time, like, submarines have attacked submarines, but it almost every single time happened on the surface, right?
Mhm.
So there was one instance, I believe, during World War II. Yeah, it was World War II because it was a German sub. Where this German sub, it was actually a really crazy story. Like, Germany was on its last legs. I think Berlin or someplace like that was getting invaded, and they wanted to. Oh wait, no, it was I think Sweden or Switzerland or one of those countries was Nazi occupied, and they
Mm.
did a lot of their researches up there in that country. It was either Sweden or Switzerland. I can't remember which one, but um, they were working on secret projects for like weapons and shit, and so the Americans were coming, and they're like, we got to clear out. Or sorry, it was the Ruskies actually. I believe it was the Russians. They're like, we need to clear out. So they put all of this research and like specialized documents onto this Nazi sub, and then they got it out of there without anybody knowing, right?
Mhm.
Unluckily for them, there was an American sub in the region, and they picked up the Nazi sub on sonar, like just by
We messed up.
chance.
Yeah.
By chance, they picked it up, and they were like, "Holy shit!" So they're just following this sub, right? And by the way, it's almost impossible to see anything down there. It's like, yeah, they have the what is it called? I'm totally blanking.
But that's only
scope?
to look above
Yeah,
water.
it's the scope, but there's a specific name for it.
Yeah.
I'm blank. It's the something scope. But yeah, that's usually what it's used
Yeah.
for. But it's like, so they've only really got sonar, and then also this it's like an ocean microphone essentially that picks up just-
signals.
yeah,
Yeah.
just vibrations within the water. And so they're going off of that, and they have like a rough idea of where this is, right? And they don't know if it's diving. They don't know the depth or the like. There's almost no accuracy
Bro,
in
they're
that
just
era.
Hail Mary
Yeah.
torpedoes.
No, literally. So the I think they identified it was a German sub based off of like the specific vibrations that the engine was putting out. Like they could identify different subs
That's
based
wild.
on like how they're not their firing order, but just the vibrations they could produce.
It's probably the detailed spikes.
Yeah.
That's where they can figure it out.
So they're like, holy shit, that's a German sub. They line it up. They fired a torpedo at it, or two torpedoes at
Yeah.
first, right? And then they obviously missed. They didn't get anything. They're like, fuck, all right, okay, drop down in case they're going to drop down.
Yeah.
So then they drop down, and then as they're dropping, I think they got another hit. Like, okay, it's got to be somewhere in front of us, or like, because they could see the dot on the sonar
Mhm.
right in front of them, but they're freaking out because they're like, how do you know, right?
Wait.
Just
Can you
bl-
just imagine if it was just a family of whales just murking these
Yeah.
whales?
Oh, no, they know the difference.
The-
You,
knows?
they
I don't
would
know.
I mean, because one, the whales wouldn't really they wouldn't make that much noise other than the.
Well, considering they're throwing Hail Mary torpedoes, like that shit's gonna hit anything.
I'm just
Well, they stop after a while. Like they just don't go forever. Like,
Yeah.
It's not like it's gonna end like they shoot it off in Switzerland and it just ends up somewhere in Japan. Like, but
oh no.
so like they're going down, and then the captain's like, "Fuck, we got to do this. It's like now or never, because if they figure out where we're at,
Yeah.
we're fucked."
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
so he's like, "Fire the last two," and they fire it, and there's like a 2-minute period of silence in a submarine at like, I don't know, probably half a mile deep. And they're just
Terrifying.
like, what the fuck? Maybe not a half mile, maybe like a quarter mile, but either way, it's still pretty deep in the ocean, right? So they're just like, what the fuck is going on? Like this, like,
dude, that's
then-
scary.
and then
Yeah.
after those 2 minutes, the dude who's on the ocean, I totally blanking on the name of it, but the ocean microphone essentially,
Mhm.
he's like, we got a hit. And then they were like, holy shit, everybody be quiet. Like, it wasn't time for celebration. It was like, we got a hit, but did we sink him? Right. And so then the next sound they heard was the explosive, decompression
Mm.
of, the submarine just going like, or sorry, compression of it rather, or implosion almost. Because, at that depth, there's so much pressure on the outside of the sub that if there a little crack happens to go in it, it's just going to go.
Just gonna right flat and
Yeah.
basically twist up.
You're
Mhm.
dead
Yeah.
immediately.
And so they heard it crunch.
And they were like, oh, there it is.
We won.
Yeah.
So
Let's go back.
And there's only one case of that?
one.
I'm actually astonished by that.
I'm amazed that they managed to hit the submarine.
Yeah.
That's a
Sure.
They they launch off listening to Superheroes Don't Wear Capes.
even wilder though. Like that sub, it had a bunch of mercury on it, like because I guess the Nazis were using mercury for some weapon. I don't remember the exact details behind it, but it started leaking mercury into the ocean, and it made that like area of
Nice.
the ocean incredibly poisonous. So
Yeesh.
I can't remember which global government did this, but they just took a fuck ton of sand, just dumped it on top of the submarine.
That
So now,
works.
yeah,
You just put sand on top of spilt mercury.
yeah. Mercury's not getting through, allegedly, because I mean it's under. I think it was like 250,000 tons of sand or some shit.
Oh my
Wow.
god. Yeah, that's a lot of sand, dude.
Yeah, I
That's a
mean,
lot
dude,
of
they had to
sand.
cover an entire submarine,
Dude, how do you even transport that?
like several 100 feet long of just submarine, big ass boats, and a lot of them.
Dude, so when you were telling me that story on their final launch back after they destroyed them, all I pictured was what's it called, Rick from Rick and Morty, from that episode we just watched like last week,
Mhm.
where he just comes in with that music, and he's like, "Oh fuck," like he's on a serious mission.
God.
And he's just like
Ah, fuck.
zooming, just ah.
Oh yeah, that shit was weird though.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many weird stories in history when you go back and like look around. I don't know. I've been on kind of a history kick recently.
Yeah. You know what? One thing I like always have to think about when it comes to like war or like war stories is, so a war gets placed by higher beings, obviously, or people that have more power.
Oh,
right?
okay.
It would be like
you
we're
mean on,
either-
By
you mean-
divine.
Not
yeah,
beings.
higher on a
Sorry.
societal rung.
Yes, on a societal.
It's like God causes war. What?
What? No, but like it's like a country versus a country, right? It's like a leader versus a leader. That's what it is.
That's really what it comes down
That's
to.
really what it comes down to. And here's the thing: when we are the people, we just abide and go through with it. So if I'm in a submarine and I see an enemy submarine, I am going to think of the individuals individually. Like, I don't know who they are, but they work for them just like I work for them. We have no beef,
Mm-hmm.
but we have beef.
No, you have to go into that, like, from what I imagine about war, like, especially in something like Nazi Germany,
Yeah.
right? Like, if you're going to go fight on the Eastern Front, right? Like, you got to have that mentality, because those, like, the Nazis were trained to just have no regard for you whatsoever, right?
Yeah, basically brainwashed.
So, I mean, outside of the exception of, like, you know, you've got POWs, don't just fucking
Mhm.
execute them on the spot, right? Like, that's terrible. But if you're out in the battlefield, like, they're gonna take, or they're trying their best to kill you,
Yeah,
right?
not
So,
injure you,
yeah.
kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be damaged and go home and be like, you know, your hero with your Purple Heart. No, they want you to be dead
Yeah,
as quickly as possible.
you're just a number.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, like, it's moments like that where, at least from, like, because I'm on a history kick, I've been watching a bunch of, like, Medal of Honor recipient shit, too.
Ooh,
And something I've seen, like, an overarching theme is when they're in the moment that, like, got them the Medal of Honor, you could say, it's like they almost turn themselves off. Like, there's no real compass, there's no anything. It's just, what do I do to get to the next screen, or like the next situation that keeps me alive?
Mhm.
What do I do now that allows me to get to the next place
Yeah.
and keep doing what I was doing in the previous one? Like,
yeah, because as far as we know, you're dead. You're only alive for a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
So,
and like, I don't know why,
Stay
but like
alive.
some of the biggest savages in history, and when I mean by savages, I mean like they go out onto the battlefield and give zero fucks. Like, they, for some reason, have like a higher chance of living, at least from what I've seen, like on the
Well, it kind of
from these
makes sense.
stories.
Because, like, I mean, look at it from the perspective of sports. Like in soccer, the person who goes into a tackle, like without full force, usually gets injured.
Yeah. I mean, like, there was a British commander, I forget, he was talking about about World War One. It wasn't, I think it was just a audio
Mm.
interview or something like that, you know, trying to interview him before they all died. And he was talking about, like, when he was on the front, he would have soldiers that were like crying and shit like that, you know. And the piece of advice was just, you keep your head down and you move forward. Like, there's no stop. When you stop to think about things, that's when you get shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that's a man who he charged across, you know, the front lines in World War One, which are some of the most brutal in history, numerous times.
Well, speaking of,
I don't know. I
was
thought
it World War
interesting.
II where they fought in the trenches?
Well, they
and
fought in
they-
trenches in World War II, but mainly World War One.
Yeah.
Like,
And to your point about the populations don't have beef with each other
No.
as is,
No,
because But the greatest example of that, I think it's either World War I or World War II, where I think it was Christmas Day,
World War II.
World War II.
Mhm.
They stopped fighting. They basically had a peace treaty between uh, both sides of soldiers, and it was only, they played soccer together, they drank together, they had a fun time. It was only after they received direct orders from the people at the top that they went on to just annihilate each other.
Yeah, how bizarre is that got to be? You're like having a beer, playing soccer, like kicking it with the boys, but they're on the other side, right? And then you just wake up the next day and it's like, yep, back to bombing,
Yeah.
getting right back in the heat of it.
Sounds like the opposite of purge. You have 24 hours where there's no,
To
where
have-
there's no purge.
To
Have
be
as much
decent.
fun.
Yeah, to be a normal human being.
Jesus.
I'm
To
sure that
be
was
decent.
To
Wow, that's like on the lowest brim. Like, let's just be decent.
Yeah.
And then there's being good and all right and excellent. But just be decent.
That
Is
was
that what we
probably the
take out of
most.
this?
That's probably the most red pill moment in history. Just fighting in a war. And
I would say a lot of, I guess you could consider it red pilling, probably happened in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Because like, soldiers in World War II, they primarily had like alcohol and opioids to some degree,
Ooh.
like morphine, Like that was their drugs
Yeah.
of choice because that was a shitty time to be alive and also a shitty experience to go through. But in Vietnam, we move forward a couple decades, we got better drugs. And so they went out into the field, they had a whole bunch of like weed, acid, mushrooms, also a lot of heroin was being done in Vietnam as well. And they like a bunch of soldiers got out there and they're like, what the fuck are we doing? Like this makes zero sense. Like
I believe 20% of the soldiers were addicted to some sort of opioid. Opioid.
Yeah.
mostly
Weird word.
probably mostly heroin.
Yeah.
Mostly
after that.
heroin after, yeah.
But then when
Yeah.
they
There's
came
a whole
back,
documentary on that.
when they came back home, and you guys can refer to the addiction episode that we have, I believe it was like 85% of them just completely kicked the habit. They're like, I'm in a safe environment. I'm happy. Glad to be back home. I don't need drugs.
The ones that didn't had the problems.
Hmm?
The ones that didn't had the issues for basically the rest of their life.
I mean, all of them come out with some issues because
If you
Well,
come,
yes.
if
what
you
an
come,
environment.
if you
But
came
I'm
out of
saying addiction.
Vietnam with zero problems, you're built different. Like
you
there's-
literally are built different.
There's something going on with you that is, I don't
Yeah.
even.
No, that's
I don't
not what I
even
meant
know.
at all. I meant like addiction wise. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
that happened a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
Vietnam soldiers got taken care of like the worst out of almost any other war.
Mhm.
I mean, you could almost include today's soldiers were treated like shit, but when they came home from Vietnam, they were treated as fucking like,
Dogs?
murderers.
Murderers?
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
because there's a whole
Even before the war.
there's a whole slew of like crazy shit that happened in Vietnam, like to a level that wasn't. I mean, it was seen in World War II, but the shit that Vietnam soldiers had to deal with was just, it was different.
And also, you have the context of this was back in the time during the psychedelic revolution, and a bunch of hippies
Yeah.
are taking drugs, love and
So
peace.
different forms of movements were happening at the same time.
Yeah,
Like there's quite a few instances, if you don't mind if I get very dark for a moment, right? In Vietnam where, the northern Viet Cong, they would set up entire villages of people, like mothers, fathers, children, babies,
Wow.
to be rigged with explosives, have guns hidden all over the place. So when the soldiers came through, they're like, hi, like, can you tell us any information? They would be handed a baby, and then they'd be like, oh shit, look at this. And they would lift the blanket up, and there's fucking 8 grenades with the pins pulled, and then all hell breaks loose.
With a real baby.
Yeah, a real human baby. That shit happened a lot. And that also led to, like, I forget what the names of the massacres were. There's
My Lai
My Lai,
massacre was
yeah.
one of them.
like it fucked with the soldiers a ton, and it was a horrible thing that they did.
Yeah. I can see how it's specifically the Vietnam War.
You
is the
put
one
human
that-
beings in that kind of extreme position, and extreme thoughts and actions will be taken.
Yeah, because you're desperate at that point.
Yeah.
To win, or basically by killing.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to die, or these other people are going to die, and that's kind of what it's coming down to, right? So, like the My Lai massacre, fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Like one of the worst instances in the Army's history. or yeah, that's the army, right? They weren't Marines that did that,
No,
or was it
no.
Marines?
It was just ground soldiers.
Just
So I
okay,
assume the army.
like infantry. Yeah, it's terrible, but like, I mean, how many soldiers need to be handed like a baby with grenades on them, or a child comes running up to you and they're scared and then they just fucking open fire on you,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like like Vietnam just came with its own different set of shit that they had to deal with and like precautions they had to take, and we were not ready for that at all.
Mm-hmm.
And you also see similar tactics in like Afghanistan,
Yeah.
Iraq, all those places.
It's always the places that has like the polar opposite like conditions than America.
It's just
It's the mountainous regions. It's the rainforests.
it's just when you
the
don't know
jungles,
that area,
yeah.
like because those people, like especially in that valley, I'm totally forgetting the name of it right now, and I just watched the documentary on it not too long ago. But
the one with the
like
ridge.
yeah, like there's this valley in, I think it's Iran or Iraq, right? And
Yeah.
Indus Valley.
it's just known for being one of the worst places that you could have been deployed to in the
Mhm.
war. And the villagers, like, they had been living in there, or their families had been for generations. So they knew every square inch of the mountain like it was the back of their hand.
Yeah.
But then you have America coming in. They don't know shit about shit when it comes to this mountain terrain. And they can't bomb it because there's so many civilians inside. They would just be essentially wiping an entire group of people off of the planet. So what do? They send in foot soldiers. But every time they send in foot soldiers, they get their shit kicked in because they don't know where the fire's coming from. And they're essentially fish in a barrel in that situation, right?
Yeah.
For
You're like,
sure.
oh, it was a rough one. That was a rough one for sure.
I
Sorry,
can imagine.
we should move on from history shit. It just gets dark really quick.
It
There's also
does.
cool shit you can talk about in history.
Well, of course.
Like if
have
you
to do
want,
more
you want to
research
get
on that.
conspiracy theory.
Like what?
Like GM never existed, dude.
What the fuck?
GM conspiracy. No, but it's one of my favorite ones is like the theory of stair-stepping evolution.
Explain.
Right.
What do you mean stair-stepping evolution? Okay, evolution.
Yeah,
Duh.
so it's like it doesn't necessarily involve people.
Mhm.
Or I mean, it does involve people, but I don't mean in terms of like how we physically changed over generations. I guess you could consider that stair stepping, right? Like
Mhm.
from earlier versions of hominids, like to the modern day Homo sapien. Obviously, that's probably stair step to some degree, but I'm talking like technology and stuff. So like the shining example would probably be somewhere like Egypt, right? Like
Ah.
how they how the fuck did they figure out how to build these pyramids? Or let's even go back earlier than that. It was like they're just in this one spot, probably just living pretty standard lives for whatever was going on in the region at that time.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, oh, we have the best irrigation in the world. Like just like out of nowhere. It's
Yeah.
like, all right, we have these crazy fucking columns like with these
Yeah.
insane irrigation systems that even today, like scientists or some people have like a hard time replicating or figuring out how they operated, right? And then it's like, then there's a whole period of nothing. And then all of a sudden we can build these crazy ass pyramids. And then we keep building pyramids. But over time, like once we're on this step, like the pyramid quality gets shittier because that's how long it's been.
Mhm.
Well, I wouldn't.
From the time they started building to the first pyramid to the time they built the last one, they had forgotten how to build them properly. So like when you go to Egypt and you look at certain pyramids, they're like weirdly shaped at the
Yeah.
top because they literally caved in.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think that's a conspiracy. For the most part, it's proven. I mean, you have the work of Dr. Randall Carlson, Dr. Graham Hancock. All those JRE episodes where they lay out specific evidence as to
Yeah.
what happened. You have major catastrophic events.
It's
that-
miraculous. It's
No, that's-
remarkable, dude.
I
It's-
don't think they recalled on the technology though. I'm not talking about like how they shaped or how Egypt was shaped over time due to natural disasters and the weather erosion patterns on the Sphinx are older than the fucking certain pyramids.
Well, no, that's the
like,
point. It's like we don't know about the technology, but we can point towards an event or a time where such technology existed because we have ancient ruins that are starting to, rewrite our whole framework of history.
But I'm talking like, how did they go for nothing? Then they have this crazy bit of technology. And then for another, like what seems to be a couple hundred years, nothing. And then all of a sudden this other insane like marvel of technology. And then they keep moving on.
Of course, I don't know, but
Like, I mean,
I
there's-
mean, honestly, the coming and going of certain individuals. Probably that's what I would run to. There's probably been some like the engineers of the time, or
Yeah.
the mathematicians of the time.
Well, of
whatever you
course,
wanna
that's
call it.
probably what it was.
What it was.
There's people out there. It's like it's aliens.
Yeah,
bro.
like run it through your head.
it's aliens, bro.
It's aliens.
I'm all over
Yeah,
it.
it's not aliens. It could be aliens, but it's not aliens.
It could be,
But it could be,
but it's not.
but it's not though. So-
But maybe.
And of course, on the 2 a.m. podcast, we discuss everything from submarines
to our favorite carpet.
What
to mountain lions to whatever you want to
have we
hear.
ever talked about carpet on this goddamn show?
We probably have, and it's probably because we've talked about the your dream house.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We probably.
I don't remember, but
I feel like you've mentioned a Persian rug somewhere here or
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Mentioned a Persian
No,
rug.
you want to know why?
I probably have.
No, we were.
Yeah.
I think it was because we were talking about like cats or some shit like that,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, Persian cats.
Persian
oh,
cats.
Persian rug. Blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you asked me the breed of Joe.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, and I told you he's part Persian, but I don't know the rest. And
Oh.
then I don't know, dude, but Persian was in there, so
Persian.
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 Ah, it has come to an end, guys. But you know where to find us. We're on Instagram, YouTube twice, actually. Come on, dude.
Yeah.
Oh baby,
Clips and regular.
3 away from the big 100. Let's go.
Yeah. You can also find our audio files on Spotify, Anchor.fm, Libsyn, Apple Podcasts, and much more. So go ahead, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us at the 2 a.m. Podcast on Instagram because we need some love on there.
Please.
Yeah,
We would appreciate
please.
it.
But
Say hi every once in a while. That'd
Yeah.
be cool. Drop a
Yeah.
comment. Check in on us. We'd
Yeah.
like to talk to you.
Nothing wrong with that,
Yeah, sometimes we just need some communication.
right? We miss the
We don't bite.
We need some affection.
we miss the humans. Anyway, guys, we will catch you next time on episode number 98. For now, later.